I hear from a lot of founders who are super frustrated with investors that express strong interest in their company and then wait until the last possible moment to either commit their funds or say they're not actually going to invest. It's driving them crazy. But there's a couple of reasons behind this pattern which plays out over and over. I'm going to explain why investors do this and some techniques to get them off the fence and committed earlier. Welcome to Feel the Boot, the science of startups. I'm your host, Lance Cottrell, and I'm here to help you negotiate that nearly vertical learning curve you're going to encounter as you launch your business. I know what it's like. I've been there myself, and I've helped countless other founders along their journeys. This episode is part of our series on fundraising, and I'll give you a link up there to the entire rest of the series. If you'd like to get your information on the go, all of our episodes are also available as podcasts, and if you prefer to learn by reading, you can get them all as blogs as well. I know a VC who makes this explicitly part of his strategy. And I know it because he told me when I was talking to him about becoming a limited partner and investing in his venture fund. He likes to get in with a company as early as possible and express interest, and then wait until the last possible moment to make a decision. It's a core part of his investment strategy, and there's a good reason for it. Investors never want to invest when no one else is putting money in at the same time. If I write you a $25,000 check and there's no other checks coming in with it, it's probably just going to go to your current operational needs. It isn't going to drive growth, it's not going to let you hit the next milestone, and I've effectively wasted my investment. I want my money to go to growing your company. Additionally, there's a risk that your round might never close, in which case I've written a check into a company that's effectively already failing. I want to know I'm going in with a large amount of other investors and other money that's enough to move the needle and let you hit a next milestone. Another reason investors like to wait is, as long as you're executing effectively, in general, risk goes down over time. You're validating your assumptions, you're getting customers, you're hitting milestones, you're building out your product. Every step you take down that journey makes your company less risky. But in general, the entire round is going to be priced the same. Your company's got a $5 million valuation, whether I come in at the beginning of the pre-seed round or at the end of the pre-seed round, but the risk may be very, very different. So I'd rather wait until the very end, when the return is the highest and the risk is the lowest, to actually put my money in. For some less ethical investors, they'll wait because it may give them better negotiating leverage. If I invest early, there's a lot of time, you've got runway, I don't have a lot of opportunity to push hard on the terms that I want. But if I wait and you're running out of money and right up against the end of your runway, your plane's about to crash, now I have all the negotiating leverage because you don't have any choice as to whether to accept an investment under those circumstances. It's not a nice way to do business and it doesn't build a good reputation, but there's certainly a fair number of investors who play that kind of hardball. Before we move on to the things that you can do to get investors to move more quickly in writing those checks, I want to ask you to do a favor, and I think you can guess what it is. Like, subscribe, ring that bell. It makes sure the algorithm knows that you want to see more of this kind of content, and it makes a huge difference to the channel. I really appreciate it. But because the algorithm doesn't always show you what you want to see, I also encourage you to head over to feeltheboot.com and subscribe to our newsletter, Boot Prints. That only comes out every time we release an episode, and it guarantees you'll get access to all of our content. It also gives you access to my free office hours, so you can get on my calendar with any questions you may have about your startup. And at Feel the Boot, there's also options for other kinds of advising we have. You'll see all the details over there. So let's dive into some of the things you can do to get that ball rolling more quickly. Because left to their own devices, investors have no incentives to move quickly unless you give it to them. One thing you can do is break your round into tranches. So before I said people want to wait because the risk goes down, but the valuation stays the same. But it doesn't have to. I've seen lots of cases where people will say, I'm raising $750,000. The first $250,000 can come in at this valuation. The next $250,000 comes at a higher valuation. The last $250,000 comes at the highest. So the valuation now reflects the risk inherent in the business. These are called tranches, and it's a fairly common way of structuring them. And if you get a savvy lead investor, they may even help you setting up that structure because it lowers the dilution that they'll experience from later investors. The nice thing about this is it appeals to their greed. If they invest earlier, they get a better deal. And so it can drive them to move and invest at the last moment of that tranche, maybe, but not of the whole round. So you can get the money now while you need it. Even if you don't adjust the valuation throughout the course of your round, you can have intermediate closings. So you're not asking everyone to just write their check the minute they say yes, because that's often an unreasonable thing to ask, particularly of sophisticated investors. But it's not unusual to have multiple closings of the round. So you might close the first time at $300,000 because that's enough to actually accomplish something significant. Then the next one's at 600, and the last one is when you actually hit $1 million, or maybe when you oversubscribe the round. Although once you're getting to oversubscribing the round, when the round's basically full, people know you have enough money in your war chest to be executing effectively, and they're more and more comfortable with just letting the cash roll in as they make commitments. Another trick is to play into psychology. Keep all of your potential investors updated on the progress of the round. Let them know that the round is starting to fill out, that you don't have plans to oversubscribe the round, and the opportunity for them to get in on the deal is shutting down. Tease that there may be some larger checks out there, that you're talking to some VCs or large venture funds. Any one of those checks might shut down the opportunity for this person to get in. If they want in, they need to act now. This is fear of missing out, and if you can encourage that in your investors, it often makes them move faster. As much as angels and venture capitalists like to portray themselves as forward-looking risk takers, in fact, there's a huge herd mentality that takes place within these kinds of people. They're often looking to have social proof that your investment is a good one for them to make. The best social proof that there is a whole bunch of other investors, particularly investors that they respect, who are already in the deal. So as you accumulate more investors, particularly notable or reputable angels and venture capitalists, make sure you tell everyone about that so they understand that there's a lot of smart people who are saying this is a good deal, and they'll feel more comfortable jumping on and not worry so much about looking stupid if things don't work out. Sometimes you can use time-critical events to get investors off the fence. If there's some kind of partnership opportunity or trade show, some particular moment in time that if you have money you can take advantage of, and if you don't, that opportunity will slip by, can get people to invest. Because they are interested in your company. They think you have a good deal. They're just trying to maximize their chances. But if they realize that by not putting in the money now, the entire thing may fall apart, if they're actually seriously interested, it may get them to put the money down now so you can exploit that opportunity effectively. Another tactic: if you want investors to invest in you, you should invest in your relationship with the investors. Use that word a lot. But fundamentally, people like to invest with people they like, and they're unlikely to try to take advantage of people with whom they have built a bond. So get to know the investors. Anyone who's expressed an interest, keep on a regular cadence of communicating with them. At the very least, they should be getting your update emails on a monthly basis. But if you can talk to them more often about advice or tips, or just to get caught up with them about the accomplishments that you're making, it can improve your chances of closing that round. So when you're reaching out and saying, hey, we really need to get that cash now, they're far more likely to say, okay, here's the check. Thanks for watching this episode. I hope you found it useful and interesting. And if you did, please do the usual like, subscribe, and ring that bell. If you haven't already, head over to feeltheboot.com and subscribe to Bootprints and get access to all of my office hours if you've got any questions or issues surrounding your startup. I also encourage you to check out this episode on term sheet red flags. I think it's a great place to go once you're starting to get investors who are ready to commit. You need to make sure you're committing on the right terms. Until next time, ciao.